Your life begins to change the moment you stop focusing on problems and start focusing on solutions. Most people don't realize this, but they spend most of their day thinking about what is wrong. They overthink small issues. They complain about situations they can't control. They wait, hoping something will fix itself. And the more attention they give to the problem, the bigger and heavier it starts to feel. That is why progress feels so far away. Not because change is impossible, but because their focus is placed in the wrong direction. Whatever you focus on grows. If you keep feeding the problem with your attention, you stay exactly where you are. In this audiobook, you are going to learn how to shift your focus from problems to solutions. You will learn how to take control of your mind, how to stop letting emotions make decisions for you, and how to direct your attention toward what actually moves your life forward. This is not hype. This is not motivation for one day. This is real mindset work, clear thinking, practical truth, the kind that creates real results. No fluff, no empty words, just simple ideas that help you stop wasting time and start growing again. Chapter 1. Take full responsibility for what happens from now on. One of the most powerful decisions you can ever make is the decision to take full responsibility for your life from this moment forward. Not for what happened years ago, not for what your parents did or didn't do, not for what your boss said last week, not for how unfair the world feels. This decision is about now. When you take full responsibility for what happens next, everything begins to change. Your thinking changes, your reactions change, your actions change, and most importantly, your future starts to change. The moment you take responsibility, you stop waiting for something outside of you to fix your life. You stop pointing fingers. You stop hoping that someday, somehow, things will magically get better. You stop giving your power away to people, circumstances, or the past. Most people stay stuck because they are trapped in blame. Blame feels easy. It feels comfortable. Anyone can do it. You can blame your family, your education, your environment, your job, the system, but blaming changes nothing. It doesn't build anything. It only drains your energy. Blame keeps your focus locked on what is wrong instead of what could be fixed. And here is the truth most people avoid. The moment you blame something, you give up control. You hand your power away. But when you take responsibility, even when something wasn't your fault, you take your power back. Responsibility does not mean everything is your fault. It means it is now your job to deal with it. That shift creates movement. You cannot grow if all your energy is spent explaining why you are not where you want to be. You cannot improve if you are busy defending your pain. Growth begins when you say, "This is my life. It's not perfect, but I am in charge now." When you take responsibility, your attention shifts. You stop obsessing over what you can't control and start focusing on what you can. You begin noticing your habits, your patterns, your thinking. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "What can I do about this right now?" That is the moment you move from problem-focused thinking to solution-focused thinking. Problems will always exist. That is part of life. But how you respond to them is always your choice. Every single day you choose one of two paths. You either complain or you create. The difference between people who move forward and people who stay stuck is not luck. It is responsibility. No one is coming to rescue you. No one is coming to push you every morning. No one is coming to save you from procrastination or fear. And that is not a burden. That is your power. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need all the answers. You only need to own your effort, your time, and your decisions. The day you stop running from accountability and start building consistency is the day results begin to appear. Even small actions matter. Every step counts. But if you spend your days defending why you haven't changed, nothing will change. Be honest with yourself. What are you avoiding? What patterns keep repeating? Because you refuse to face them. Responsibility means confronting those truths. It is not always easy. It is not always comfortable, but it is real, and real is what creates results. Most people talk about their problems, far more than they work on solutions. They repeat the same stories for years, relive the same pain, stay in the same place. Talking does not fix what is broken. Action does. So ask yourself this: what can I do today that moves me forward? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. That is responsibility. And that is where real change begins. Chapter 2, train your focus to go where progress grows. Your life will always move in the direction of your focus. If your focus stays on what is missing, what is broken, or what has not worked, your mind will build its world around those things. That is why so many people feel stuck. Not because there are no opportunities, but because their attention is trapped in the parts of life that feel wrong. This does not mean you are weak. It means your focus has been trained in the wrong direction. Every day, most people wake up and their attention immediately goes to problems, stress, pressure, things they don't like, things they wish were different. Without realizing it, this becomes their mental routine, and whatever becomes routine starts shaping their future. If you want to create real change, you must train your focus to go where progress can grow. Progress does not grow inside constant negativity. It does not grow inside fear, regret, resentment, or excuses. Progress grows in clarity. It grows in direction. And it starts the moment you become aware of where your attention goes. You cannot feed your mind constant reminders of failure and expect confidence to rise. You cannot stare at setbacks all day and expect motivation to appear. You have to choose where you place your attention. That is what training your focus means. Your focus is not random. It is powerful. Your focus is your energy, and where your energy goes, your future follows. Most people are focused on the wrong things, not because they want to be, but because they were never taught that focus can be trained. Your mind is not your master. It is a tool. And like any tool, it works best when you control it. Training your focus begins with awareness. Start noticing what steals your attention. Is it comparison? Is it fear of what might go wrong? Is it jumping from thought to thought without ever being present? When your focus is scattered, your results become scattered too. A distracted mind cannot build a clear future. So slow down long enough to ask yourself a simple question: what am I giving my energy to right now? If the answer does not support your growth, it is time to shift it. This does not mean you ignore problems. It means you stop living inside them. You acknowledge the problem, you address it, but you do not let it consume your identity. Progress is built when you focus on actions, not distractions. When you wake up thinking about what you can build today. When you move through the day catching negative thought patterns and gently bringing your attention back to what matters. This is not about being positive all the time. It is about being deliberate. Some days you will feel overwhelmed. That is normal. But even on those days, you still get to choose what receives your full focus. You can choose to give your energy to something that helps you grow instead of something that makes you feel smaller. When you repeat this choice, something begins to change. Your brain starts recognizing progress as the normal direction. You stop seeing everything as a problem. You start asking better questions. What can I learn from this? What is the next step I can take today? What would make today slightly better than yesterday? Those questions pull your focus toward action, toward clarity, toward strength. People often say they do not have time to focus. But the problem is not time. It is attention. 5 minutes of clear focus can move your life forward more than 5 hours of distraction. Your phone is a tool. Your environment is a tool. Your thoughts are tools. But if you let those tools control you, your focus breaks apart and progress slows down. So how do you train your focus? You practice every day in small ways. You create moments of stillness. You write down what matters. You set short, clear goals. You notice where your attention goes when you feel tired or stressed. And when your mind slips into overthinking or doubt, you gently redirect it. Focus is not something you build once. It is a practice, a skill. And like any skill, it gets stronger the more you use it. You do not need perfect focus. You only need better focus than yesterday. If yesterday your mind was scattered and today you focus for just 30 minutes, that is progress. That is growth. And that is how change begins. Your attention is one of your greatest powers. Stop giving it to everything that asks for it. Not every opinion deserves your focus. Not every distraction deserves your energy. Not every thought deserves to stay. You get to choose. And when you choose wisely, you begin to feel more in control, more grounded, more capable. You spend less time explaining why you feel stuck and more time building momentum. Progress is always available, but only to those who are focused in the right direction. Train your focus, and progress will follow. Chapter 3. Act before fear makes the problem feel too big. One of the biggest mistakes people make in life is waiting. Waiting until they feel ready. Waiting until fear goes away. Waiting until the situation feels easier. But fear does not shrink on its own. Fear grows. The longer you wait, the more powerful it becomes. When you keep thinking about a problem without taking action, your mind starts exaggerating it. What began as a small challenge turns into a mountain in your thoughts. Not because it truly is that big, but because fear has been given time to stretch it out of proportion. That is why action matters, and not just action. Early action. When something difficult appears in your life, your instinct might be to stop, to think more, to analyze every possible outcome. But overthinking does not build courage. Movement does. Courage is created when you take one step. That proves to your mind you are not helpless, that you are not trapped, that you can still move forward even when you feel unsure. Fear will always try to protect you. It reminds you of past failures. It shows you worst-case scenarios. It tells you to stay safe. But fear does not know the difference between real danger and discomfort, so it tells you to wait. And if you keep listening, waiting becomes a habit. That habit slowly turns into hesitation, And one day you realize you've been standing still for far too long, not because you are incapable, but because fear trained you to pause instead of push. You do not overcome fear by thinking about it. You overcome it by doing something. One small action, a conversation, a decision, a commitment, a first step. That action sends a new message to your brain. It says, "This discomfort is not destroying me. This challenge did not break me. I can keep going." Fear does not disappear immediately, but it loses control. Fear might still be present, but it is no longer leading. You are. Action creates something fear cannot touch. Momentum. When you move, you gain experience. You replace assumptions with real feedback. Most of the things you fear never actually happen. But you will never realize that if you stay trapped inside your head. Waiting gives fear time to grow. Acting early keeps the problem small enough to solve. That is the power of moving before you feel fully ready. Courage rarely feels confident. It often feels like shaking hands, a racing heart, and uncertainty, and still moving forward anyway. Clarity often comes after you begin, not before. You take one step, and the next step becomes clearer. If you wait for certainty, you may wait forever. Fear has no interest in your growth. It only wants your safety. And safety, while comfortable, never builds a meaningful life. Growth comes from action. Even small steps matter. They build mental strength. They build belief. When you see movement, motivation follows. When you stay still, doubt grows louder. So when fear starts speaking, ask yourself this: what is one thing I can do right now that moves me forward even a little? That single step can shift your entire direction. Momentum breaks hesitation. It reminds you that fear does not decide your future. Train yourself to notice fear early. Catch it before it takes control. Choose action, not because you feel ready, but because you refuse to let fear limit your potential. Fear feeds on delay. The moment you act, it begins to lose its grip. And every time you repeat that process, you grow stronger. Your future is shaped by how you respond to fear. You can let it keep you small, or you can use it as a signal to move, not recklessly, not blindly, but with purpose. That is how lives change. Chapter 4. Take full ownership of how you react to setbacks. Every person faces setbacks. No one is immune. Life does not ask for permission before it changes your plans. Things fall apart. People disappoint you. Effort does not always lead to success. But what defines your growth is never the setback itself. It is how you react to it. You do not control everything that happens to you, but you always control what you do next. That is where your real power lives. Your first reaction reveals the state of your mindset. If frustration, blame, or self-pity is your default response, you stay trapped in the same cycle. But if you learn to pause, to stay aware, and to choose your response, you begin building strength. Most people react automatically. They complain, they lash out, they shut down. Reaction is a habit, and habits, once repeated, start shaping your future. When you take ownership of your reaction, you stop running in circles. You stop wasting energy on what already happened. You start learning. You start adjusting. You start moving forward. Ownership does not mean pretending everything is fine. It does not mean forcing positivity. It means standing up and saying, "This happened, and I decide how I respond." That decision changes everything. The same setback can break one person and strengthen another. The difference is not the event, it is the response. Some people become bitter. Some people become better. That choice is always available. When something does not go as planned, slow down. Do not rush to speak. Do not rush to explain. Do not rush to escape the discomfort. Pause. Ask yourself, what just happened? What am I feeling right now? What would a stronger version of me do next? A reaction is automatic. A response is intentional. A reaction is emotional. A response is grounded. When you build the ability to respond instead of react, you gain control. Most people never develop. Setbacks often feel personal. They hurt your pride. They challenge your confidence. But setbacks carry information. They show you where you need to grow, where your thinking is weak, where your habits need work. If you avoid responsibility for your reactions, you repeat the same mistakes, same emotional patterns. Ownership is maturity. It is choosing to lead yourself even when life feels unfair. You do not need all the answers. You just need the willingness to show up with clarity. Taking ownership does not mean suppressing emotions. It means managing them. You feel them. You acknowledge them. Then you decide what to do. You do not quit. You do not explode. You do not stay stuck. You breathe. You reflect. You move forward. You also cannot control how others behave, but you can always control how you respond to them. Some people will test your patience, some will doubt you. But when you own your response, you protect your peace. You stop giving others control over your emotional state. That is strength. Setbacks are not the enemy. Avoiding responsibility is. Your reaction either builds character or exposes what still needs work. Pay attention to that. The next time something triggers you, pause. Ask yourself, is this how I want to respond? Is this who I want to be right now? That pause is the beginning of change. Repeated over time, it builds discipline, clarity, and self-respect. When you take full ownership of how you react, setbacks lose their power. They become temporary. They stop defining you, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. That is real success. Leading yourself well. When things go wrong. Chapter 5, catch the moment your thinking starts going in circles. One of the quietest ways people stay stuck is by thinking in circles. It usually starts small, a single worry, a doubt, a what if. At first, it feels like thinking. But instead of leading to a solution, the mind begins to loop. The same thought, the same fear, the same question, over and over again. You go through your day, but that thought keeps returning. You are not solving anything. You are only exhausting yourself. That is the danger of circular thinking. It feels productive, but it creates no progress. It drains your energy. It increases stress. It blocks clear decisions. If you want to grow, you must learn to catch the moment your thinking starts spinning instead of moving. That moment matters, because the longer the loop continues, the harder it becomes to break. Your thoughts start feeding each other. Fear builds momentum. And soon, your thinking controls how you feel, how you act, and how you respond to life. The solution is not judgment. It is awareness. You need to notice how your mind is moving. Start watching for the signs. Are you thinking about the same problem without a new idea? Are you feeling anxious just from thinking, not from anything happening right now? Are your thoughts circling? Instead of leading somewhere useful, that is your signal to pause. Pause breaks the loop. It creates space, and in that space, clarity can enter. Most people were never taught how to work with their thoughts. So, when their mind loops, they assume they're being careful or responsible. But real thinking leads to action, to insight, or to peace. If it only leads to tension, you are not thinking, you are spinning. When you notice the loop, interrupt it. Say to yourself, I have thought this already. What is new here? If nothing new appears, it is time to shift your focus. Not every thought deserves attention. You do not have to accept a thought just because it shows up. You get to question it, challenge it, redirect it. Your mind loops because it is trying to protect you. It thinks repeating the problem will somehow prevent pain, but thinking without action does not reduce fear, it increases it. There is a difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection looks for lessons, it leads to clarity. Rumination repeats discomfort without direction. One moves you forward, the other keeps you stuck. When you catch circular thinking early, you stop feeding it. You open space for better thoughts and better decisions. One simple way to break the loop is to write. Put the thought on paper. Ask yourself, what is the real issue? What am I actually afraid of? What is one small action I can take today? Writing removes the thought from your head and places it somewhere you can examine calmly. You can also shift physically, move your body, change your environment, go outside, breathe deeply. When the body shifts, the mind often follows. Sometimes you do not need more thinking. You need a pattern interrupt. Protect your mental space. Be intentional about what you consume. If you constantly feed your mind content that creates fear, comparison, or stress, your thoughts will loop around it. Choose clarity over chaos. You will not catch every loop immediately. That is okay. This is a skill. Every time you notice and redirect your thinking, you are strengthening your mind. Better questions also change everything. Instead of asking, why do I always feel this way? Ask, what can I do about this right now? Better questions lead to better focus, and better focus leads to better action. A clear mind moves forward. A spinning mind stays stuck. Catch the loop early. Redirect gently, and choose clarity. That is how progress is built. Most people are trained to react, not to think. When something unexpected happens, plans fall apart or emotions rise, the first response is panic. Your chest tightens, your thoughts race, your breathing becomes shallow, and suddenly everything feels urgent. Panic creates pressure. Pressure pushes you to act fast, even when acting fast is not the right move. Rushing feels productive, but it often creates more problems. What you really need in those moments is space. Space to breathe. Space to slow down. Space to think clearly. Clarity does not come from chaos. It comes from calm. If you want better decisions, you must build the habit of creating space between what happens and what you do next. That space is powerful. It separates the situation from the story your mind creates about it. Without space, you respond from habit, and habits formed under stress are rarely helpful. When you panic, your thinking narrows. You stop seeing options. You focus only on what is wrong, not on what is possible. And those rushed decisions, when repeated, create a life that feels out of control. But it is not the situation that causes that feeling. It is the lack of mental space. Strength is built by grounded thinking, by slowing down long enough to reflect, evaluate, and choose wisely. This does not mean avoiding action. It means choosing thoughtful action. Creating space begins with awareness. You need to know what triggers your panic. Is it pressure from others, fear of failure, the need to please? Once you recognize your triggers, you can catch yourself sooner. You can pause. You can breathe. You can step back. Even a short pause breaks the automatic response and gives you control. Creating space does not mean doing nothing. It means doing something different. It means choosing reflection over reaction. Most of the pressure you feel is not coming from the outside. It comes from your thoughts, your expectations, your fear of being wrong. When you slow your breathing and relax your body, your mind follows. The brain receives a new signal. It is safe to think, and that is when clarity appears. In high-pressure moments, do not search for fast answers. Ask better questions. What matters most right now? What is within my control? What is one smart step I can take? Questions open your thinking. Panic closes it. Do not expect others to protect your thinking space. People may rush you, pressure you, demand quick answers. But your job is to protect your clarity. Because when you give up your space to satisfy urgency, you lose direction. Not everything that feels urgent deserves immediate action. Some things need time, quiet, thought. And the more you practice this, the more confident you become, not because life gets easier, but because you handle it better. This is not about being slow, it is about being smart. You will face pressure, misunderstanding, unexpected challenges. But you do not need to panic. That was your old pattern. Now you can pause. Now you can think. Now you can choose from strength instead of fear. Each time you create space, you build a new habit, a habit of clarity. And clarity leads to better decisions, better outcomes, and a calmer mind. That is how strong thinkers are built. Chapter 7. Ask yourself what would actually help right now. Most people get stuck because they never pause to ask the right question. They feel frustrated, overwhelmed, confused. And instead of stopping to think, they keep pushing through the same thoughts, the same complaints, the same behaviors. But progress does not come from pressure alone. It comes from clarity. And one of the fastest ways to regain clarity is by asking a simple question. What would actually help right now? Not what feels good, not what looks impressive, not what others expect. What would actually help right now? This question changes everything. It pulls your mind out of overthinking and into practical thinking. It shifts your focus from blame and frustration to action. Most people ask questions like, why is this happening to me? What is wrong with me? How am I supposed to fix all of this? Those questions add weight. They keep you stuck in the problem. But asking what would actually help right now brings you back to the present. Because most stress lives in the past or the future. You replay what already happened. You worry about what might happen. Rarely do you stop and look at what is needed in this moment. This question grounds you. It stops the spiral. It reminds you that progress does not require a perfect plan. It requires the next useful step. Sometimes what helps is simple. Taking a short break, drinking water, going for a walk, writing things down, turning off distractions. Sometimes what helps is doing the one task you have been avoiding. Sometimes what helps is asking for support. Sometimes what helps is rest, not escape. Rest. You will not know what actually helps unless you slow down long enough to ask. This practice builds self-awareness. The more you ask this question, the more you understand yourself. You start recognizing what throws you off and what brings you back. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intentionally. You also learn something important. You can feel uncertain and still act. You can feel tired and still choose wisely. You can feel frustrated and still do what helps. That is emotional maturity. This question also improves how you communicate. In difficult conversations, when emotions rise, ask yourself quietly, what would actually help right now? Sometimes the answer is listening. Sometimes it is saying less. Sometimes it is stepping away before things escalate. That pause can prevent regret. This question is not only for hard times. It works when things are going well. If you feel focused and productive, ask, what would help me keep this momentum? Maybe it is protecting your time, reducing distractions, going deeper into what works. This keeps progress intentional. Over time, this question becomes a habit. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you become someone who looks for solutions, not perfect solutions, useful ones. That builds confidence. Not confidence from big wins, but confidence from consistency. From proving to yourself that you can handle what is in front of you. You recover faster from stress. You waste less time spiraling. You make clearer decisions. Because instead of asking why life is hard, you ask how to move forward. Ask this question often, when you are tired, when you are stuck, when emotions are high, when focus is lost. Write it down, keep it visible. What would actually help right now? That single question can shift your entire direction. Chapter 8. Replace complaining with one simple action. Every day, people lose energy by complaining. It happens so often that it becomes automatic. You wake up tired and say it out loud. Something goes wrong and you talk about it. Someone makes a mistake and you focus on that. Little by little, complaining becomes a habit, and habits create mindsets. A mindset built on complaining creates a life that feels heavy, reactive, and stuck. Complaining does not fix anything. It does not make you stronger. It does not improve the situation. It only keeps your focus on what is wrong. And when your focus stays there, progress slows down. Complaining feels easy. It requires no effort, no discipline, no courage. But it costs you something. It costs your peace. It costs your energy. It costs your ability to move forward. If you want your life to improve, you must do something different. The simplest place to start is this. Replace complaining with one useful action every day. Not a perfect solution. Not a big leap. One small action. Because what you do daily shapes who you become. When your daily habit is pointing out problems, you become someone who lives inside frustration. When your daily habit is taking action, you become someone who builds progress. Most people complain because it feels like release. They want to feel heard. They want validation. That is human. But after the complaint, ask yourself, did anything improve? Did the problem disappear? Did your mindset get stronger? Or did you just spend more time sitting in the same frustration? Now imagine this. Every time you catch yourself complaining, you pause and you ask, what is one thing I can do right now that helps? Maybe it is sending a message you've been avoiding. Maybe it is organizing your space. Maybe it is finishing one small task. Maybe it is apologizing. Maybe it is drinking water and resetting your energy. It does not matter what the action is. It only matters that it moves you forward. That single shift changes everything. You teach your mind that discomfort does not require negativity. It requires movement. Action creates momentum. Momentum breaks old emotional patterns. This does not mean you ignore your feelings. It means you respect them enough to do something useful. Notice the frustration, acknowledge it, then move. Ask, what would progress look like here? And take one step in that direction. When you replace complaining with action, your confidence grows. You begin trusting yourself again. Because instead of waiting for someone else to fix things, you show up for yourself. Even when it is inconvenient, even when you are tired, even when it feels unfair. You do not need to fix everything. You just need to stop using your words to describe how stuck you feel and start using your time to change what you can. The habit of complaining creates mental fatigue. The habit of action creates resilience. It reminds you that even on hard days you still have choices. Start small. Catch one complaint today, just one, and replace it with one action. Then repeat tomorrow. Consistency rewires your mind. It turns frustration into a signal to act. Over time, people will notice the change. You will feel calmer, more focused, more in control. Not because life got easier, but because you decided to lead yourself differently. Choose creating over complaining. One action, every day. Chapter 9. Calm your emotions, so your choices stay clear. When emotions run high, decisions become unclear. You have felt this before. Saying something you did not mean, doing something you later regretted, avoiding something you knew you needed to face. In those moments, your emotions were leading, not your clarity. Emotions are not the enemy. They are part of being human. They carry information. They tell you when something matters. But when emotions take control, judgment suffers. You react instead of choosing. You say yes when you should say no. You stay silent when you should speak. Unmanaged emotions create real costs. Lost opportunities. Wasted time. The solution is not suppression. Ignoring emotions only stores pressure that eventually explodes. What you need is the ability to calm yourself in the moment. Calm is not a luxury. It is a skill. A skill you can build. When you stay calm, you protect your decision-making. You give yourself space to see reality, not just the emotion of the moment. Most emotional reactions come from the first story your mind creates. That story is often shaped by fear, past experiences, or assumptions. When you pause and breathe, that first story quiets down. A second version appears, one that sees more clearly. That version makes better choices. Strong people do not let emotions decide their actions. They use emotions as information, not commands. They feel what they feel, but they wait before acting. That waiting is where wisdom lives. Your body gives you signals when emotions are rising. Tight chest, fast breathing, racing thoughts. Those signals are warnings. They are telling you your thinking is about to be hijacked. That is your cue to pause. Slow your breath. Relax your body. Create stillness. Even a few seconds can change what happens next. In that moment, ask yourself, what do I really want from this situation? Not what feels good, not what emotion demands. What helps the bigger picture? That question grounds you. It pulls you out of emotional tunnel vision. You will not get this right every time. That is okay. Progress matters more than perfection. Catching yourself once is better than never catching yourself at all. Over time, your natural response to stress changes. Instead of exploding or shutting down, you pause, you breathe, you respond with intention. Many people lose years of progress because of one emotional decision, a message sent too fast, a door closed too early, a reaction driven by anger or fear. Almost all regret comes from moments where calm was missing. You do not need to avoid emotions, you need to lead them. You can feel strongly and still choose wisely. That is strength. Practice this in small moments. When something irritates you, pause. When someone misunderstands you, listen before reacting. When plans change unexpectedly, breathe before fixing. These moments build the habit. Calm creates clarity. Clarity creates better decisions. Better decisions create a stronger future. You are not your emotions. You experience them, but they do not define you. Do not hand them the power to decide your direction. Keep your calm. Protect your clarity. That is how wise choices are made. Chapter 10. Keep going. Even when your results feel too slow. Progress does not always feel exciting. Most of the time, it feels slow, quiet, and ordinary. There are no big celebrations, no instant rewards, no clear signs that everything is working. And that is exactly why most people give up. When effort does not bring fast results, doubt starts to creep in. You begin to wonder if you are wasting your time, if you are doing something wrong, if maybe this path is not meant for you. But here is the truth you need to understand. Slow progress is still progress. If you stop now, you erase every step you have already taken. Real growth is not fast. It is consistent. It is built through small actions, repeated daily over time. The progress that lasts is happening quietly, behind the scenes, long before you see the result. Most people fail not because they lack ability or potential. They fail because they stop too soon. They expect results to match effort immediately. When that does not happen, they assume it is not working. But change takes time. You are not just changing actions, you are changing habits, patterns, mindset. That kind of transformation does not happen overnight. You have to learn to move forward without needing constant proof that it is working. That is maturity. That is discipline. Discipline says, I will keep going, even when it feels boring, even when motivation fades, because this matters. You do not need speed. You need direction. Steady effort beats fast effort that disappears. Every small decision you make is stacking something. You are either stacking effort that supports your future or stacking reasons to stay the same. When the days feel slow, remember this. This is the part where most people quit. And that is exactly why you should not. Because staying consistent through the quiet seasons builds the strength you need for success later. Slow growth is not punishment. It is preparation. It builds patience. It builds resilience. It builds character. Do not compare your timeline to anyone else's. You do not know how long they struggled behind the scenes. Focus on your path, your pace, your progress. Social media shows results, not the work. Do not fall for the illusion that everyone is moving faster than you. They are not. Everyone has seasons where growth feels invisible. The ones who succeed are the ones who keep going. You are doing better than you think. If you are still trying, still showing up, still choosing growth, that matters. Do not let impatience convince you to quit something that still has value. You do not need big wins every day. You need consistency, one step, one task, one decision. Some days will feel slow, some days will feel pointless. But when you look back, you will see it. The shift, the growth, the stronger version of you. Do not quit just because it feels quiet. Quiet is where strength is built. Quiet is where breakthroughs form. Slow progress is not failure. Stopping is. So keep going, keep building, keep choosing action. Over excuses. Your results will come. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they will come. And when they do, you will be grateful you never walked away.